Welcome back. Today we are diving deep into the incredible story of USS Enterprise, CVN-65, the most famous aircraft carrier in naval history and the world's first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. This is not just the story of a ship, but the story of a revolution at sea, a floating city that changed naval warfare forever and served as a symbol of American power for more than half a century. The idea of USS Enterprise was born during the early Cold War, a time when the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a tense struggle for global influence. The U.S. Navy needed a carrier that could stay at sea longer, travel faster, and operate without the constant need for refueling. Nuclear power was the answer. Construction of Enterprise began in 1958 at Newport News Shipbuilding in Virginia, and from the very beginning, it was clear that this ship was unlike anything ever built before. Instead of conventional engines, Enterprise was powered by 8 nuclear reactors, a design so advanced and ambitious that many doubted it would work. When USS Enterprise was officially commissioned on November 25, 1961, it immediately became the largest warship in the world. Stretching over 1,100 feet long, with a flight deck wide enough to host dozens of aircraft, it truly earned its nickname, the Big E. Nuclear power gave Enterprise unmatched endurance. In theory, it could sail for years without refueling, limited only by food supplies for its crew. This single feature transformed how the U.S. Navy could project power across the globe. Enterprise's first major test came during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. As tensions escalated between the United States and the Soviet Union, the carrier was deployed to the Caribbean as part of the naval blockade around Cuba. Its presence sent a powerful message. With its air wing ready for combat and its reactors humming silently below deck, Enterprise stood as a nuclear-powered guardian during one of the most dangerous moments in human history. Throughout the 1960s, Enterprise became a symbol of American technological superiority. In 1964, it took part in Operation Sea Orbit, a historic around-the-world cruise conducted entirely without refueling. Alongside 2 other nuclear-powered ships, Enterprise circled the globe in just 65 days, proving that nuclear-powered naval task forces could operate anywhere on Earth without logistical support. This mission shocked the world and demonstrated a new era of naval warfare. The Vietnam War marked one of the most intense chapters in Enterprise's career. From the mid-1960s through the early 1970s, the carrier conducted multiple combat deployments to the waters off Vietnam. Its aircraft flew thousands of combat sorties, striking targets deep inland and providing air support to U.S. and Allied forces. Life aboard Enterprise during this time was demanding and dangerous. The flight deck was one of the most hazardous workplaces in the world, with jet engines roaring, aircraft launching and landing every few minutes, and sailors working around the clock under extreme pressure. One of the darkest moments in Enterprise's history occurred on January 14, 1969. While operating near Hawaii, a devastating explosion and fire broke out on the flight deck after a rocket accidentally detonated. The chain reaction caused multiple explosions, killing 28 sailors and injuring more than 300. Several aircraft were destroyed, and the ship suffered serious damage. Despite the chaos, the crew's bravery and training prevented an even greater disaster. Within weeks, Enterprise was repaired and returned to service, a testament to both the ship's resilience and the courage of its crew. As the Cold War continued, USS Enterprise remained at the forefront of U.S. naval operations. It served as a constant presence in the Pacific, the Mediterranean, and the Indian Ocean. During the 1970s and 1980s, Enterprise underwent several major overhauls to modernize its systems, upgrade its air wing, and extend its service life. Even as newer nuclear-powered carriers entered the fleet, Enterprise remained unique due to its 8-reactor design and legendary service record. In 1986, Enterprise played a key role during heightened tensions with Libya. As part of U.S. operations in the Mediterranean, its aircraft conducted missions aimed at deterring Libyan aggression. Once again, the ship demonstrated its ability to respond rapidly to global crises. Wherever Enterprise appeared, it brought with it overwhelming air power and a clear political message. The end of the Cold War did not end Enterprise's service. In the 1990s, the carrier adapted to a new world order, taking part in operations in the Middle East, the Balkans, and other regions of instability. During Operation Desert Fox in 1998, Enterprise launched air strikes against targets in Iraq, enforcing United Nations resolutions. The ship's ability to operate independently for long periods made it especially valuable in an era of regional conflicts and rapid response missions. After the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, USS Enterprise once again found itself at the center of history. It was among the first U.S. carriers deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. Its aircraft struck Taliban and al-Qaeda targets hundreds of miles inland, proving that aircraft carriers remained vital even in a world of asymmetric warfare. For many sailors, serving aboard Enterprise during this time felt like being part of a living legend responding to yet another defining moment. Life aboard USS Enterprise was like living in a small city at sea. At any given time, more than 5,000 sailors and aviators called it home. Below the flight deck were workshops, medical facilities, kitchens, sleeping quarters, and even a ship's newspaper. The reactors deep inside the hull powered not only the engines but also the entire floating community. For decades, generations of sailors passed through its decks, each leaving with stories of long deployments, intense operations, and unbreakable bonds. By the late 2000s, however, time had begun to catch up with the legendary carrier. Maintaining Enterprise had become increasingly expensive and complex, especially because of its unique 8-reactor design. Newer carriers with more efficient reactors and modern systems had taken its place at the front of the fleet. In 2012, after more than 51 years of service, USS Enterprise was officially decommissioned, making it the longest-serving aircraft carrier in U.S. Navy history. The decommissioning ceremony was emotional and historic. Sailors past and present gathered to say goodbye to the ship that had defined their careers and, in many cases, their lives. As the colors were lowered and the reactors were shut down for the final time, the end of an era was marked. Enterprise had served through the Cold War, Vietnam, the War on Terror, and countless crises in between. Even in retirement, USS Enterprise continues to make history. The complex process of dismantling and disposing of its nuclear reactors began, a task that will take years to complete. While it will never become a museum due to its nuclear design, its legacy lives on in the ships that followed. The name Enterprise has been passed to the next generation, with CVN-80, a future Gerald R. Ford-class carrier, set to carry the legendary name forward. USS Enterprise, CVN-65, was more than steel and reactors. It was a symbol of innovation, endurance, and power. It proved that nuclear propulsion could transform naval warfare and allow ships to operate without limits. It carried the hopes, fears, and courage of tens of thousands of sailors across the world's oceans. From the brink of nuclear war to the fight against terrorism, Enterprise was always there, silent, powerful, and ready. As we look back on its extraordinary journey, USS Enterprise stands as one of the greatest warships ever built. Its story is not just naval history, but human history, a reminder of how technology, bravery, and determination can shape the world. And even though the Big E no longer sails the seas, its spirit continues to live on, inspiring future generations who will carry the name Enterprise into the unknown waters of tomorrow.